أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, and may the peace and blessing of Allah be upon His last and beloved Messenger Muhammad. This lecture is entitled How to Learn Engineering Sciences Fully from the Noble Qur'an, and we will focus in this lecture on how to learn industrial engineering from the Book of Allah, God Almighty. The key to learning industrial engineering from the Noble Qur'an lies in the Quranic verse in chapter 27, verse 88, which states, "And you see the mountains and think them solid, without movement, but they pass away as the passing away of the clouds. The manufacturing of Allah, God Almighty, who perfected all things, verily, He is well acquainted with what you do." Now, if we ponder and reflect upon this Quranic verse, we see that the mountains, which is a created being by Allah, God Almighty, Allah, God Almighty describes that is created by a process of manufacturing, the manufacturing of Allah. Thus, a manufacturing process needs a factory. So Allah Almighty describes creation by a process of manufacturing, thus, factories are needed. Now the question arises, what are the factories in the creation of the Almighty? The answer to this can be found in the Qur'an, as you can see on the screen, where Allah Almighty states, "And on the earth are signs for those who have faith with certainty, and also in your own selves, will you not then see?" Also in the Noble Qur'an, Allah states, "Verily, Allah God created the human in optimal form." Thus the Almighty encourages people to study and reflect upon their bodies. Since the human body is a textbook in optimal design, since Allah God Almighty designed the human body in optimal form, thus when you study your body, you find a system which is optimal in all aspects, mechanically, industrial, electrically, from all aspects is optimal. So when you replicate this design on an engineering design, you'll have the optimal specifications. Now if we study the human body, we see that the cells, that raw materials enter the cells in the human body, and a product results from that. Thus, the cell is a factory in the human body and in biological systems. So if a person studies the cell, which is a factory, he can learn from it the optimal specifications for a factory. Now, the first thing about the cell, that the management department in the cell is the nucleus of the cell, which is the sphere you see on the screen. We see that the management is close to the production line, which is the green kind of wavy structure. Now we see that Allah Almighty in this factory, He puts the management very close to the production line. This ensures fast feedback between production and management. Now in old factories, they used to put the management departments in one place and the production line in a distant place, a faraway place. But in new factories, they found that if they put the management very close to the production line, they have very fast feedback between the management and production. So Allah teaches us this from the Noble Qur'an, so that the believer would be the teacher of others, not the one on the receiving end. Now, another thing about the cell, there are a lot of same factories which produce the same product. In the human body, there are a large number of cells, they produce the same product. Now this ensures continuous production even if damage occurs to some factories. So Allah teaches us to do something which is called backup systems, that you have something on standby. When something is damaged, the other can take its place. Also about the cell, in the cell there are energy plants, but there are more than one energy plant, which is a backup power system. So Allah teaches us that in a factory you should have backup systems and electrical generators and then backup, such that if something is damaged, the other can take its place. Also, if there is a need to increase production, the other power generators can start and help in that process. Also in the cell, we found conduits in the cell skeleton that only products with optimal specifications can pass. So the conduits exist in the cell to monitor the quality of the product. So quality control should exist within a factory. So in the cell there is a quality control. So the Almighty teaches us that in factories there should be a quality department which monitors the products. So we see how upon reflecting on the cell we can learn optimal specifications in industrial engineering. And to know more about this, you can visit my website at www.quran-miracle.com, and you can email me at zquran@yahoo.com. And may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all.